लेने गया नहीं वो लाइव ही रहता है।
लाइव चल रहा है, ठीक है।
Yeah, we should do a salad, but it was too much work. Make it properly.
बच्चे प्लीज
I'm using both file things.
Yes.
कवर नहीं किया गया है अपना पालन करके देना क्योंकि जैसे चेन बनी फिल्म बनाने में तो जो बोर्ड है उसके लिए खाते हैं वही मोबाइल करके बाहर चेन बनी का बोर्ड चेन बनी विकास तो आ जाओ
Whether or not it's the same, exactly the same.
You are flying out of Poland. Yes?
We are flying to Singapore
Singapore.
in 3 days.
And came from
Over 2 and a half.
So all our shirts are dirty and we started buying.
easy to buy.
Now probably there are better shops to buy Indian clothes than Muslim.
I can see that. I can see that.
No, 2 and a half weeks ago. But when are we just
You spend fair amount of time.
Yeah, we've been in 6 days. We start from Chennai, then we moved to Rajkot, so we were trying the Rajmahal, so we're traveling.
Tamil Nadu to Gujarat.
Oh, even to we were in
So now you are a large part of the culture and how things are.
We were already dancing, singing, so.
If you have been to Haridwar and you have seen one part of the This is your first visit?
Yes, basically, but already very rich. Long one and a lot of experience.
we had the Ganga Aarti and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
with Subramaniam Swami.
Very good.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, it was not planned, it was just coincident that we arrived. So we can claim that we did it.
It's a good experience.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Professor Somshekar, Dean Administration. So, welcome to the conference. Namaste. 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 Did you visit Banaras?
No.
Okay. So, because you were talking about the Ganga.
Sorry, Rishikesh.
Rishikesh, Haridwar. So,
And we were supposed to be in Mathura, but
okay.
we would like to.
Now, when did you land it up? Now, when did you land it up in
Once
India?
you need to go plan. Not our
You
rush.
remember February?
2.5 weeks ago.
But Chennai must be hot. Not bad?
No, it was like 2.5 weeks ago, so it was still, yeah,
Okay.
to be honest, actually we are enjoying Passat because in Poland we have like
So, how long you will be?
Well, we are coming 4 more days. On Saturday we leave.
Okay, Saturday.
Some of us go back to Poland and 2 of us we go to Singapore for another conference.
Okay.
And then back to Poland. So the 2 of us will be away for 4 weeks from home. So.
Your university will sponsor for all these past services?
Our projects.
Project, okay. What is your project?
research project, yes.
Okay.
Freezing cold.
So we have this war.
And Ukraine war on the top of everything.
So we have many people from Ukraine coming for us, like in Brussels, the population is growing by 5% in 1 year, even in shorter period, in very short period of time. So, and we are very proud because all those people find us proper flats, houses, not built any house. We were able to, like, they were, for sometimes they were living just with us. So I mean, the Polish people, the families.
People are coming forward to accept them.
Yes. It was like a social movement. Very spontaneous.
Poland is the only corridor to which I believe they have the land.
But still some of them decide to stay, some of them decide after like half the year to go back or move when they have some family like in Germany. So you know this.
But it's sad state. And it's dragging everybody
A long name that they couldn't fit in the printer.
They write my full name. My name, my father's name, my grandfather's name, and my family name. So, my father's name is
I just had a breakfast. Thank you.
This is my family name.
To jest taka ważna komunista.
Anything else you want to put in the microphone? On the side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually want to was on the first email that I sent. Yeah, I looked at all the slides and
Thank you.
It's a raffle.
So how we should name you?
It can be Noor, it can be my first name is Noor, my family name, it can be.
Okay. So we should delete the middle two.
No, the middle is my father and my grandfather. They write it like in the passport.
how do you pronounce it?
It's also very
Bravo.
complicated.
The accent
I
is
think
very
it's a
bravo.
mistake.
But
So,
okay,
like,
anything you say will be okay. Don't worry, don't worry. I also have problems with pronouncing foreign names.
Yeah, and mine is really nice.
Katarzyna.
Katarzyna Schneider.
Professor Rafał, Professor Anna. Yes,
Yeah, great, perfect.
That was a good practice.
Yeah.
well, you got the privilege to have the first name and the last name. We are the first name.
Now we ask to just use our first name because it's simpler.
But it's not Kasia.
No, it's not. It's Katarzyna, and even with some
Spelling error.
spelling error because it
No,
should
here
be.
it's okay.
Here it's okay. Only
Yeah.
one side. Okay, so it's Katarzyna is the full name, but we also use the short versions of names. So everybody calls me just Kasia. So it's much easier, much simpler. It's Katarzyna.
Kathy. And
Katarzyna.
Kasia is like Kathy.
So it's Katrina?
Yes, yes,
Katarzyna. Yeah.
Hello?
No, for me it's
Anything else? That one?
He without
You are like that one who sounded without Thanks. I left you for longer with my mother. Any emergency?
You like it?
yes.
This in the invitation. If you need anything, just contact me.
you're there?
No, I have no feeling. Have you been there?
Singapore, I get this device.
Yes, we know. It is also very close.
Singapore, Malaysia, you can walk.
Singapore.
Egypt is close to what?
No, I mean, many people are, no, in a sense, yes, when you want to go to the warm place, this is very, very difficult destination for Polish people, because it's always, weather is great, also of course,
Especially in the winter, it's a good.
culture is also great, so this is one of the favorite destinations for Polish people.
In the autumn.
Yeah, yeah, but we, for some reason, because we have so many business trips, so then we don't find really time for this real leisure trips, so we never been in
But you will enjoy Egypt, you have a different place to visit.
Yeah, you know, we realize, so we have to go, but yeah.
This is your first time doing it?
Yes, yeah.
But now 2.5 weeks in here. So now they have got acceptance. It's a various places. Rishikesh, Chennai.
Okay.
And we are out of European films, so we can apply something in there.
That's good. That's good. Great. Good. Only MSU was there in Goa last week.
Oh, they were there.
Yeah, they were there.
Oh, Ali, from Ali.
Yeah, he was there. He was, in fact, they were one of the sponsors.
Okay, Ali travels everywhere.
And I think they are also participating in AMSA.
Yes, that's why they
This time he was pushing for Key West Survey. Sir, start again. Bye. Hello. So we have some foreign visitors. Kumud, can you introduce please Professor and she's also considered.
So let me introduce you ourselves first. Mr. Rajiv, Dr. Rajiv Kumar. He is Member Secretary AICT. So AICT is a body of India which is governing all the educational institutes. All the technical education is being governed by the government. So he is the head of that. Yes. So like every policies, everything that is being passed, that is from AICT. So he is here to meet us all and motivate us. So sir, Professor Rafal Corderon. He's from University of Science and Technology, Waterloo, Poland. Waterloo University of Science and Technology, Poland.
Proud of it on the right.
And Professor Anna. She is from Department of BIS.
Of operations research and business.
Operational Research and Business Intelligence. And Professor Katrina. She is also from the same department, same university from Poland. So the team was there to visit India and motivate BI and it was to be under the aegis of ETBIC. They are conducting our series in India and us was there, first in the Northern India. Professor Yash Chandra, he was our point of contact, he is working in Rockwell University only. So we connected with him, so we had this contact online. Mr. Akshay Paliwal from UT and Professor Murli Raman, Pro-Vice Chancellor of KPU, Asia Pacific University from Malaysia. Dr. Noor, Professor Noor, she is from Egypt. and she's a professor in various, and her main work is on sustainability, and here also she is going to give us a keynote address on sustainability. And our DG sir, Director General, Producer Major sir, our Dean Admin, Professor D.R. Sobhashikar sir, Director sir, Dr. Vinod and Raman sir.
So this is 3 days.
2 days.
2 days. You have lectures and paper presentation also.
Exactly. So we received more than 250 papers, and it was during a very short time. We received a very good number of papers. So we have selected few papers. So around about 107 papers were selected, and those will be presented in multiple sessions being conducted. Around about 15 sessions will be conducted in 2 days. As well as many speakers are there, so they will be having keynote addresses on BI, data analytics, sustainability. So we will be having discussion on this.
So welcome to India, to all of you foreign delegates. I hope you enjoyed the stay in this part of the country. It's a pleasant weather nowadays. Otherwise we have extreme weathers in northern part of the country. Either it is very hot already, but this is the time when weather is pleasant. So, we have good food also, nice places here. I hope you will enjoy all such things. And 2 days, 3 days workshop. How many other delegates they are participating from different parts of the country?
So we have received around 45 papers from all over India, Tamil Nadu, Hyderabad. We have received multiple papers. So they will be connecting online. Some of them are coming offline, but maximum are connecting online. Because it's a hybrid mode, so people prefer to come connected online. As well as during our session chairs, we will be having 15 sessions. So during that 15 sessions, we will be having international delegates also. We will be connecting online to judge those papers. So we have people from Denmark, Bulgaria, as well as from Nigeria and Australia, maximum from industry and capital.
So as you know, India got new education policy. So after so many years, I think more than 3 decades, the country had a new education policy. So Professor Rajiv Kumar, the Secretary AICT, representing AICT, the statutory body of the country, education. More than 10,000 institutions come under his ambit. So he's one of the key members to actually drive higher education new policy in the country too.
This policy basically came after 55 years. And we had a lot of discussion. The document was released. We got around through the suggestions from the office stakeholders. And then after deliberation, discussion and going through the suggestions, Government of India finalized the education policy. And after accepting the main thrust and addressing thrust to implement it. And for the implementation part, Government of India, our educational institutions, they are conducting a lot of workshops, how it can be implemented, what are the main features of this new education policy. So we all are discussing, and most of the features, female institutions and the forward-looking institutions, they have already implemented. Some of the part is left and they are working on that. Institutions are working on that, but major part as far as academics are concerned, that has already been implemented in terms of this new education policy. And being from a regulatory body, is AICT, All India Council for Technical Education, which is a regulatory body regulating technical education in the country. And not only regulating, we are preparing the prospective plan of the technical education, long-term and short-term prospective plan. We are coming out with the model curriculum, issuing the model curriculum, but it is not, we are not imposing that. It's a model. And they can go through that curriculum and they can make changes as per the expertise available in the institutions or the local needs of the region. So they can make all such changes in the curriculum. And similarly, we have funding also in terms of the research projects, mentoring also in terms of various initiatives. That one of the initiatives that this institution have, it's a prestigious institution of this area. We gave the project in terms of the idea lab. So very few selected institutions, they got that idea lab, which were partly funded by our organization. And this institute is one of the recipients of that idea lab. I hope you will get time to visit all these idea labs and other institutes how we are making, how they are innovating with the teaching methods. And we will definitely get an opportunity to visit all such kind of things. And particularly the idea lab. This is a platform for our students. Whatever idea they have in their mind, they can explore it there, they can come out with a prototype. These are open all the times for our students. In whatever way they want to work, all facilities are there in these idea labs. So this is one initiative. And there are many center of excellence also there. Very good center of excellence. So I hope you will get an opportunity. And definitely your experiences, your suggestions, during introduction to this conference, definitely I will request Madam to compile them. So what good practices they are following in their institutions. We would like to know that. We will deliberate on that. How in India, in our institutions, we can implement it by making certain changes as per the requirement of the institution and the nation. This is our always we have it is our endeavor to adopt the good practices, and we always share our good practices with our foreign delegates also. So we will have opportunity and our faculty here in this institution will also have an opportunity to get. Please share your suggestions, good practices in your country, in your institutions also. Here, we do it.
Well, in Poland, we have had a change of the law for higher education in 2018. With the new evaluation system, research evaluation of universities, which has just commenced and also appeared in 2021, 5-year window. It's a bit similar to the British system of evaluation, where you evaluate three types of activities. Research output, mostly by publication patents. Income from projects, from external projects, from agencies, industry. And the last one, which was new in our system, impact on the society and economy. So whether your research is not just read by academics, but whether it is practical, real life usage, actually impact the society in some way, or businesses helping them. So this was really new for us. We have some first experience with feedback. Now the final results have come just yesterday. So our leaders performed extremely well. I was responsible, apart from being the head of the Department of Intelligence. I'm not the dean actually. We have different structure. Deans are in our structure are more about teaching, take care of teaching, where the research is in the departments. I was also responsible for the evaluation for the university. So this meant actually supervising around 2,000 researchers. This is the size of the university, around 26,000 students. Yeah, so of course I can share this with the research evaluation, how this was performed, how the outcomes
Rightly said. We are also in the same line. Previously, what was happening is that most of the research was confined to our libraries. So now our emphasis is that how we can make these research useful for the society, for the humanity. This is the basic emphasis of the education policy. So all research should be human-centric. As sustainability development also, this is an important area. So all such research we are also in the same direction. And another one important area we are giving a lot of emphasis on innovation. Innovation and startups. In last 2.5 years, 3 years, India got a tremendous jumps in terms of the startups and innovations. So our emphasis basically is to give room to our students where they can explore, they can come out with the prototype, and we are giving all facilities and space to our students in that direction. So more or less what you are doing in your country, Poland, the basic theme in our education system is same.
The important thing about this impact on the society and the economy, it has to be a link between your research, so a research article that was published in the last 25 years, how it has impacted the society or the economy in the last 5 years. So this was it was important to have a link between your your research results impacting something, not just your personal impact. So this was the primary problem when submitting these for evaluation, because many universities first start the case if someone is from some governmental agency plays a role that this is already impact. No, that it was about the impact of research on the society. Very specific.
And it was also like the way that it was evaluated was needed proof from the industry, but not just saying that, oh, we use your research. They have to quantify it. For instance, since research when electricity prices are passing, so the industry mentioned that using your research techniques or your research output, this is the amount of saving or this is the amount of increase in efficiency of predicting the prices or something that was done. But then actually later on we realized that the evaluation committee didn't treat those letters as highly important, because if I know somebody, then I can just, could you please give me a letter? It works like that worldwide. So they wanted public proof of independent agencies, like somebody writing a news article, for instance, about certain research being used for improving business of society. So in that case, it's a very tough evaluation, and we are already thinking what to do in the next 5 years to improve that part.
Right. The same thing is, we are also little bit, you can say the slight change in our policies here. We are also connecting our institutions to the industry. So we are asking students, industry, to give your problems, real-time problems, to share these problems, and if our students can work on these problems, so they are the real-time problems, and that type of culture is coming up in India, and most of the institutions, because this is a place, we are in Noida, very near to a lot of large number of industries, they are there. So most of the projects, what our students they are doing, they are connected to somewhere, in some way, to the industry problem. So our more emphasis is on that direction. So once you are connecting the students and their problem projects with the industry, definitely it is going to impact some way to the society also, as well as the economy of the country also. And they are also getting an exposure to the hands-on part, industry exposure as an internship to their degree requirement.
This is something that is done more on an individual level. The fact is the departments running particular curricula, like for instance we are running something called business intelligence, a master program, where we have regular meetings at least once a year with industry people, where the students directly interact with them, present their research, the industry presents their expectation of their also research, and both going to criticize each other, talk about, discuss the problems. So yeah, this is something we also do. But this is not really kind of state imposed, but more individual. On the state level, we have something which is at the PhD level. We have special scholarships for people employed in companies. And this is kind of an agreement between the government, the university, and the company, that this person can have like 1 or 2 days a week to be working on the PhD. The company agrees on that. The funding comes from the government, and the research supervised at the university. So actually, Anna here is the head of the school of doctoral school in management sciences. So she's also managing these doctorates, which are very professional oriented. This is, I mean, they're direct link to the industry, but because looking at the research output, it's usually much tougher to get those students to do something with the research. But, yeah. And the doctorate in the end, which is interesting, it does not have to be a new research problem solved, it has to be an implementation of this review of this method in the end. So it's a bit different evaluation of the kind of standard doctorate in this industry.
Similar trends that we have policy measures at the top. The government policy. Quite a program that we are quite industry advertising. So they coming to the 5 year, actually we did and provide us feedback to see that. I think you guys are for all concepts like development. Now must be back to the 70 sustainable development goals. And how does that going back to ESG for 6 hours that back to this too? So you give to show proof that we're working towards that we rejected our time. So it's no pressure for us to really think in line with how you're thinking that. Good behavior, I think around the show.
My institute, where I'm working, is mainly related to petroleum, oil and gas industry in Egypt. It's called Egyptian Petroleum Research Institute. All our research in master's and PhD should serve the petroleum industry. We solve many of the problems, even we produce some chemical that's used already in Egyptian petroleum companies. So I think this is very important to connect really between the industrial sector and institutional research.
So here in India, Government of India is funding for research, those who are pursuing their PhD. Right? Definitely they are also working, but you said that connect with the industry, making it compulsory that if we are funding you, that we should have a connection with the, that in that direction Government of India is also working. They want to connect all these research where the funding is done by the state and how we can connect them with the industry, how industry problems can be solved by these research. So we are also working on that.
In terms of sustainability, we're trying something interesting, that not to have sustainability as a separate course, but if I teach creative and design thinking, then sustainability is like 1 hour or 1.5 hours of orientation towards the course. So at the end, when they do a project for that particular course, sustainability has to be a part of the project itself. So in BI program that you mentioned, most of the courses, there is no written exam involved. It's just practical project. So if it is a programming or BI workplace, for example, or study or creative design or simulation
Simulation of complex
complex
systems.
systems. It's just about making projects using what they learn as skills and competencies, and those projects are something like identifying the problem and solving it. Of course, they also have the regular project like in the form of thesis, but this is also something that we have tried to do. And we have seen that students, they love to do this because they don't have this thing that we have to learn for the exam, but they work on the project the whole semester.
Okay.
No.
Excuse me, sir.
चलते ही रहते ना एंड स्ट्रीट मत करना कनेक्ट करा तो ट्रैकिंग करते रहना
Please rise.
बर्फ रिव्यू देख लेना एक बार।
वाईफाई पे क्या कहते हैं, उन्होंने बोला था कि इंटरनेट दिलाएंगे। करते रहे। आदि का अरे तो बस रुक। हाँ
मैं हॉटस्पॉट दे रहा हूँ।
चलता है तो
कट अभी के लिए अरेंज करना फिर कुछ।
A chief guest is with us.
अच्छा मैं कॉल क्यों नहीं कर रहा? आ रहा है बच्चा तेरा फोन यहाँ है। इंटरनेट आधी इंटरनेट हो गया इसका।
हाँ फोकस है। हाँ 50% डेटा कंज्यूम 50% डेटा कंज्यूम है। और एक पंचन आया था कुछ 10:30 बजे।
Welcome all. Being ambassador of a culture which is thousands of years old, I join my hands to greet you Namaste with the belief that no one in this universe is above or below us. We believe in the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is, this great globe is our family. Chief guest of today's function, Honorable Member Secretary of the All India Council for Technical Education, Professor Rajiv Kumar. AICT is the main steering and driving apex body for directing the technical education in this great nation. Dr. Yash Chawla, ETBI Series General Chair. Professor Noor Al-Gendi, Professor of Biotechnology. Professor Kasha, Professor Rafal, Professor Anna, delegates, researchers, Mr. Raman Batra, Executive Vice President, NIET Greater Noida, Mr. Praveen Soneja, Director General, NIET, Dr. Vinod M. Kapse, this EmergIN 2023 Conference Chairman and Director, NIET, Dr. D.R. Somshekhar, Dean Administration, all deans, associate deans, head of departments, faculty members and staff, and beloved students. I welcome you all on the occasion of inauguration ceremony of EmergIN 2023. Now I request the dignitaries to kindly kindle the lamp of the light.
शुभं करोति कल्याणं आरोग्यं धनसम्पदा शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योति नमोऽस्तुते। दीपो ज्योति परं ब्रह्म दीपो ज्योति जनार्दन दीपो हरतु मे पापं संध्या दीपो नमोऽस्तुते। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वराय गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
ninety data.
I would like to acknowledge the august presence of Professor Murli, Deputy Vice President, Vice Chancellor of Asia Pacific University. I welcome you, sir. Now I would like to request our Chief Guest, Professor Rajiv Kumar, Dr. Yash Chawla, Professor Noor, Professor Kasha, Executive Vice President, sir, Director General, sir, Director, sir, and Dr. Kumud to please take their place on the stage. Dr. Kumud. Now I would like to request our Executive Vice President, sir, to kindly welcome our Chief Guest, Professor Rajiv Kumar, by presenting him a plant sapling. GG sir is requested to greet Professor Yash Chawla. I will request Dr. Kumud, the conference convener, to greet Dr. Noor. Director sir is requested to kindly welcome Professor Kasha. Director sir, you are again requested to greet our Executive Vice President, sir. Kumud ma'am. Now I request Dr. Kumud to greet Professor Rapal. DG sir is requested to greet and welcome Professor Anna. EVP sir is requested to greet and welcome Professor Murli, Vice Chancellor, Asia Pacific University. Thank you very much, sir, all the dignitaries. Now I would like to request Mayank to kindly play the video for the EmergIN 2023. Thank you, Mayank. Now I would like to request Conference Chairman and Director NIET, Dr. Vinod M. Kapse, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Namaskar. A warm good morning to all the ladies and gentlemen. Chief guest of today's function, Honorable Professor Rajiv Kumar, Member Secretary, All India Council of Technical Education, India. Charismatic Executive Vice President, Shri Raman Batra. Guest of Honor, Professor Katarzyna Veron, Professor, Wrocław University of Science and Technology, Poland. Guest of Honor, Dr. Noor, Professor, Egyptian Petroleum Research Institute. Dr. Yash Chawla, Assistant Professor and General Chair, International Conference on Emerging Technology and Business Intelligence, Wrocław University of Science and Technology. Director General Shri Praveen Sonijaji. Director Pharmacy Dr. Avijit Majumdar. Dean Admin Dr. Som Shekhar. Convener of the conference Dr. Kumud Saxena. Dr. Murli Raman, Professor and Deputy Vice Chancellor, Asia Pacific University, Malaysia. Professor Raphael Varon, Head of the Department of Operation, Research and Business Intelligence, Wrocław University of Science and Technology. Professor Anna, Professor in Wrocław University of Science and Technology. All the guests, researcher, registrar, deans, departmental heads, faculty members, and dear students. So on behalf of NIT family, it's my honor to extend a hearty welcome to the Chief Guest of International Conference, Professor Rajiv Kumar sir. So we are thankful to you from the deepest core of my heart for accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion of this inauguration function, inaugural ceremony of International Conference, EmergIN 2023. Despite of your busy schedule, your presence and word of wisdom will be a great motivation to all of us. It's my great honor to have Professor Katarzyna with us. We are immensely thankful to you for accepting our invitation to deliver a keynote address. It's my pleasure to welcome the guest of honor, Dr. Noor. All of us are very eager to hear your keynote address. I'm delighted to welcome our dynamic Executive Vice President, Sri Raman Batra sir. Thank you for your continuous support and encouragement in organizing this conference. Here I especially want to mention that he gave us the vision and guided us in organizing this particular conference with sustainable goals. I am happy to welcome Dr. Yash Chawla and thank him for his continuous support in making this particular conference successful. It's my pleasure to welcome all the experts who have spared their precious time and have made this particular event possible. I'm happy to welcome Director General Sri Praveen Suneja ji, all the guests, directors, registrar, deans, heads of the department, faculty members, students, and all the media persons. So talking about the NIET, it is one of the premier institute of India. NIET is the first and only autonomous technical private institute among the self-financed private technical institute of UP. I am delighted to share that NIET Pharmacy and NIET Engineering Institute has secured 39th and 145th rank respectively in the prestigious National Institute Ranking Framework, that is NIRF 2022. Highest ranking in entire Uttar Pradesh. Our institute is NAC accredited with 3.23 A grade. 5 BTech program in computer science engineering, biotechnology, mechanical engineering, electronics and communication engineering, information technology, MBA, MCA and B pharmacy programs are NBA accredited. Also, the institute has been awarded the overall diamond rating in QS iGauge. Atal ranking of institution on innovation achievement ranks institute in top 50 institution. The institute has very good industry connect. We have total 27 industry supported labs and culture to incubate startups. So we are also very fortunate to have an idea lab which is sponsored by AICT. We have foreign collaboration such as Ajman University, Dubai, Skyline University, Mira Costa University, USA, ITS University, Indonesia, University of Diponegoro, Indonesia, Cebu Normal University, Philippines, Management Science University, Malaysia, Asia Pacific University of Technology and Innovation, Malaysia, for students and faculty exchange program to carry out their research work and cultural exchange. We have School of Future Skill to promote the 21st century skills. Talking about this particular conference, this conference on emerging technologies and innovation, EmergIN 2023. Is organized in collaboration with Wrocław University of Science and Technology, Poland, and the knowledge partner for this particular conference is ICT Academy. This conference has been organized to present innovative ideas, novel approaches, development, technologies and best practices, tools and techniques, metrics and future directions. I am happy to share that we got an excellent response from the young researchers, and after following a review process, more than 110 articles have been shortlisted for the final presentation. So here I would like to mention that the extremely informative and knowledgeable keynote addresses and invited talks will prove to be a great learning curve for the young researchers. So on this occasion, I would like to thank the entire organizing team for their continuous efforts to make this particular conference successful. So once again, I would like to welcome all the guests and dignitaries for this particular conference. My best wishes to all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Kumud Saxena, conference convener and head school of CSE and IT, NIET, to kindly tell about the EmergIN 2023.
A very good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to our Member Secretary, AICT, Dr. Rajiv Kumar sir, our EVP sir, Mr. Raman Batra sir, our foreign delegates who have spared their time and visited our campus for the keynote addresses and the conference, our Director sir, Dr. Vinod M. Kapse sir, Director General Mr. Praveen Suneja sir, Dean Admin Dr. D.R. Somashekar sir, and all heads of department and faculty members and my dear students. We are here for 2 days for this international conference on emerging technologies and innovations. The idea that pitched in our mind was because of the new education policy, which says that we have to promote research and we should focus on the project-based implementation of education. So that was the idea behind this conference, where we planned that why not to connect with the globe and connect with all the international universities who are working in this field, so that for 2 days our students, our faculty members can get an insight that what all research work is being done all over the world. People are well versed in that fields, like we have professors from eminent areas which are working on business intelligence, they are working on management, some are working on sustainability, we are working on the design thinking, creative thinking. So all the fields were included, and we planned this 2 days workshop conference where we can get an insight what they all are working. So the objective of this conference was to provide a global platform to the faculty members, academicians, industry people who can come up, give us an insight what research work they are working on, and where we can implement it for a sustainable growth of the whole country. Our project should not be only focused on research, what is the outcome, but it should be aligned with the sustainable growth. So that is what our conference is also aligned with it. We are working for the sustainable growth of the country also, which is now going to be the next focus of our country. We are already focusing on the design thinking concept, which is one of the most important part. And secondly, we have to focus on the sustainable growth also. And we are happy to announce that we have got good research work of the people from all over India who will be working on it, as well as we have got some papers from outside India also who are participating in our conference. So we'll get a good way to understand how people are working in various research work. So we are planning that this 2 days become successful for us. We have made this into 5 tracks. Our sessions will be divided into 5 tracks. One will be based on the electric vehicles and IoT. The another one will be focused on emerging technologies. Third will be focusing on the sustainable growth using AI ML technology. Fourth will be focusing on the management practices and BI. And the fifth one will be on cyber security and blockchain. So we have tried to cover up all the emerging areas which will be upcoming in the next few years. And we'll keep on focusing and we'll keep on organizing this event every year, so that we get a very good collaboration with such universities of the world, where we can get some keynote addresses who can guide us and motivate us and tell us that where we should align ourselves. So that is what for our conferences, and hope these 2 days are going to be very fruitful for everyone out here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Now I would like to request Dr. Yash Chawla, the ETBI Series Conference Chair, General Chair, for his address. Mr. Mandeep Khare.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Dignitaries on the dais, my dear friends. It's a pleasure to be here. I would like to thank the NIET family for organizing this, for hosting us. So far we have experienced different flavors of India, and coming here with the warm hospitality was really, really awesome. I also thank our AIC team member, Secretary Sir, for sparing his valuable time to be here for this conference, and I'm looking forward to hear. Already we had a really good interaction in the conference hall, so I look forward to hearing from him as well. Kumudji, Vivekji, Hiteshji, we have been doing this for so many months, so thank you for your vigorous efforts and arrangements. We all appreciate it. Right, so what I would like to share with you is the general idea which which was initiated so that all of us have come here today, which is the ETBI series, which is Emerging Technologies and Business Intelligence series. So we started off in Chennai on 13th and 14th of February. And from there we went to Rajkot, from there we went to Ajmer, from there we went to Jaipur, from there we skipped Mathura for reasons I don't want to explain. Then we went to Roorkee, and then now we are in Noida, and then we will finally end up on Friday in IIT Delhi. So it's been a long tour for us, but it's been a very fruitful one. So the basic idea of ETBI series was to bring industry, students, academia, researchers at one platform to start a dialogue. I will quote Einstein here. Einstein said that we cannot solve the problems in the same method that we used to create the problems in the first place. And what it requires critical thinking. It requires us to think in a very different way. It requires people from different disciplines to come together. It requires people with different thought processes to come together. It requires people who don't agree with each other to come together, because then only we will land in a direction which we have not yet traveled on. And if you want to solve the problem of sustainability, if you want to solve the problems that the world is facing today, this is what we need to do. I hope that this series or these interactions or the papers that are presented in the business intelligence or emerging technologies and related fields will basically motivate some of the younger researchers to basically take up research in this direction of solving problems that the world is facing today. This ETBI series basically is under the umbrella of the BI, Business Intelligence Initiative, that we are doing at the Department of Operation Research and Business Intelligence at the Wrocław University of Science and Technology. So we have a very unique program. Okay, so now we have the first slide. As you can see, we traveled across India, and now we are at Noida. Please change the slide. So as I was mentioning, we have this BI, Business Intelligence umbrella, under which we have organized this series, which includes descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive courses within the program. And if you look at the program itself or the initiative itself, it is not just to evaluate students. It is not just to give knowledge to the students. It's not just about teaching. It's not just about projects. It's not just about research. It's also about an opportunity where a person who is inexperienced can stand up tall to an industry professional and say that you are wrong. It's an opportunity for somebody who doesn't have experience to interact with somebody who has experience, and both of them going in a direction which is unique, which is creative, which is innovative, which is also being promoted by the government of India through the new education policy. And as you can see, our students and I love pizza. So we have meetings like this where our students basically present 3-minute thesis ideas or what thesis work they have done to the industry people and the academic panel, and they are of course free to give them suggestions and criticize them. But then in the same session, the industry person who was criticizing has to come on stage and present their company work in 3 minutes, and then the students are free to criticize them. So when this first event happened, in the first session, no student was like, maybe I should not criticize, maybe I should stay quiet. And then just one student started to ask a question or say, maybe it could be done in a different way. And then the floodgates opened, and all of the students were so much into asking questions to the industry people that the industry people left that event saying that we got some really valuable insights to improve our business. So that is what ETBI series also aims at. So when the keynote speakers are here, when the papers are being presented, I would request you all to take a fork and a knife and eat their brains, because they are here, they are presenting their work to you, you are listening, you're giving your time to listen to them. So it's your right, not just right, it's your duty to basically ask them questions, interact with them, so that you can get some knowledge and make the most use of your time. I have a question before I just end my short speech. I have a question to all of you. Do you all know Sir Isaac Newton? Yes. Yes? Do you remember that instant when the apple fell on Sir Isaac Newton's head? Yes. What was the question Sir Isaac Newton asked when the apple fell on his head? So everybody knows the first part of the question. Why did the apple fall down? But what was the second part of the question? Why did it not go up? So George Bernard Shaw, the Nobel laureate in 1925 in literature, said that to be innovative, to be creative, to solve the problems of tomorrow, what we need is a simple philosophy, which needs to be that you see the things as they are not. When we start doing that, we basically become innovative, creative, and we go in a direction where we can solve the problems of tomorrow. So thank you once again for having all of us here, and I hope you all will make the most of our presence, and I hope to learn from you as well, because all of you might have really creative ideas which we might not have. So let's have this exchange over the next 2 days. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yash. I was visiting your website, yashchalna.in, yesterday, and I found a very beautiful quote. It's by the hashtag YC quotes. You can visit it. Passion and desperation can both make you do things. It's just that passion is for winners and desperation for losers. Thank you, Dr. Chavla. Now, I would like to request our Executive Vice President, Mr. Raman Batra, to kindly deliver his address.
Very good morning to all. Honorable Member Secretary, AICT, Professor Rajiv Kumar, delegates from different parts of the world attending the conference, Director, Director General, Deans, Head of Departments, and dear students. It's a great day where we are organizing an international conference at NIT. The topic is very interesting, and we told the conveyor, Dr. Kumud, that please try getting sustainable development goals and make it more sustainable. So a lot of things we try doing it in a sustainable way. And SDG Goal 4, which basically talk about education for all, is getting very close to my heart. Reason behind, I was reading an article which says that 147 million students worldwide attended classes online, and 1 million is 10 lakh. I hope you know that. 27 million of students will never go back to the school from primary to higher, which is a very big question mark. So, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi started a campaign, PAC 2030, which we also signed a declaration in Goa last year, and our main purpose was SDG Sustainable Goal 4, Education for All. So today we have one of the most dynamic personality into AICT who had done a lot of changes, and a lot of transparency has come into the statutory body, AICT. So sir, my request from this forum is, you are heading 10,000 institutions pan-India. These institutions have one of the finest intellect capital of the country, with one of the best infrastructure available of the country. But sir, normally we operate 9 to 5, barring a few center of excellence which are being operated, whereas the day and night together has 24 hours. So we are just able to utilize 1/3 of the capacity utilization of intellect capital and the infrastructure available with the country. If AICT comes with a model where institute like us get incentives, faculties who are sitting here get incentives, and we get collaborate with industry, somewhere India being the most populated country of the world now, every 6th person walking on this earth is Indian. The most important SDG goal, target, is for the country India, where AICT can play a very and crucial role in getting these targets achieved by 2025 and 2030. So, sir, we have written similar to Honorable Prime Minister. I have sent the suggestion to him, but being you on a decision chair, I request you to kindly look into and try to make institutions like us work 24 hours. This will not only help, reach to our targets of SDG 4 goals, but it will also help to create a role model of the complete world. As everybody knows, India is one of the youngest country, and another 20-25 years coming belongs to the country like India. As the world is going with a lot of troubles, one side you will find countries like Ukraine struggling, where kids are not able to get education. More than 14 million kids are doing online education. So somewhere we need to get sense, everybody, to the sustainable development goals. I love the idea of Mr. Yash Chawla, Dr. Yash Chawla, during our discussion, he said that sustainable development goals as a topic is not a separate subject. It is being taught into an integrated way. So we've been into education from a kindergarten to a post, both in engineering and medical field. I request my director here that kindly take this input and kindly incorporate sustainable development programs as an integrated part into our curriculum. Being an autonomous institute of the state, I hope we can do it and we can work over it. I'm very happy and delighted that there are a lot of papers have come up, and it is a great idea to start a movement into a country where a lot of focus through AICT and Ministry of Education is being given towards research, patenting, startup culture. If a country like India has to move and need to lead the world, startup is the only way where it has to go in. So I'm ending my talk with a quote of Swami Vivekananda, which is very, very close to my heart, and I always keep and following that quote. So it says, take up one idea, make that idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to the success. So my heartiest congratulations to all the organizers here who have made sure that this conference works. It's a great start. Kudos to all team of Dr. Kumud Saxena, Hitesh, Rikesh, all heads, all deans, over and above our director and director general who have been taking this institute to a newer height. And I hope all delegates, foreign delegates joining offline and online will enjoy and give their valuable inputs to the institute and also become a part of success story of young budding researchers coming out of this institute. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant stay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I would like to ask for the attention of the dignitaries. Our Executive Vice President is the driving force for the new face of the NIT, which is being recognized globally. Now, I would like to request our Chief Guest, Professor Rajiv Kumar. Before that, I would like to read his short introduction.
Namaskar. Dr. Mr. Raman Batraji, Executive Vice President of NIIT, Mr. Praveen Suneja ji, Director General, Dr. Vinod Kapse ji, Director of the institution, and Dr. Kumud Saxena, who is convener of this conference, dignitaries from abroad, faculty members, and my dear students. Very warm good morning to each and everyone. First of all, I thank NIIT for giving me this opportunity to share my views, to interact with our foreign dignitaries, to know their good practices, their education system, and sharing what we are doing in our country with the delegation from abroad. It was a great opportunity. Thanks to NIT for giving me this opportunity. Now, it's very heartening and to know that NIT is organizing this international conference on emerging technologies and innovations. I will share 2 and 3 things why these innovations and new technologies are important. 3 years back, Ramanji, we were preparing the prospective plan of the technical education in the country. We requested best of the all industrial bodies and experts to prepare the prospective plan, long-term prospective plan of the technical education in the country. And you will be surprised to know that the first recommendation of the committee was that it is not possible to give long-term perspective plan of the technical education as the technologies are changing very, very fast, rapidly. Technologies are changing rapidly. So they came out with short-term and medium-term perspective plan. So they prepared, but they said that long-term perspective plan cannot be prepared because technologies are very fast changing and it is very, very difficult to predict all such technologies at one time. So in this context, interaction among the faculties, experts from all parts of the world, discussing what new is going on, it's very heartening and very, very important. And also you have invited large number of papers, you scrutinized them, reviewed them, and only 110 of them they have been selected. It's good, and definitely you will share all these papers with faculty members and they will be available on some website. So others can also take the benefit what new technologies or new trends are emerging across the world. It is very, very important. You also remember when this AI came into picture, when the use of the AI as a technology was part of the day-to-day functioning, people were saying that large number of jobs they are going to be eliminated. It was the perception. Even we were thinking. Then what happened? Then the expert says the number of jobs they are going to increase, and that happened. Large number of opportunities they came up, not only in the IT sector, in all sectors, large number of opportunities just because of these new technologies, whether it is AI, IoT, robotics, all such came into picture. Now we are talking about ChatGPT. Again, the same type of thing is going on. Same type of debate is going on across everywhere. People are saying all sort of jobs, they will be eliminated. Everything will be done by this new technology. Now this has come through Microsoft. Now Google is also coming out with the same type of features. So these are the emerging technologies. Similar was the view when AI came into the picture. We were thinking same way. Similar, these new technologies, application of AI and other things, when this is coming. So it is my perception, it is my hope that it will lead to new jobs, new role of jobs in the country. Whenever we are going in colleges or institutions, faculty is asking us that these new, how the relevance in this changing scenario, how our faculty will cope up. How much our faculty will be relevant in this changing scenario? That is the question being asked everywhere when we are having discussion with the faculty. And I am everywhere saying that the relevance of the faculty is very, very important. It is not going to decrease, but the role of the faculty is going to change. That means if I am a faculty in the mechanical engineering, I have to learn, I have to go through, I have to have a master or expertise in the new technologies. How these new technologies can be integrated with the disciplines. So the role of the teacher is going to change, but the relevancy of the teacher is going to increase. Our teacher has to work with the student. He has to work with he has to motivate, guide in project works, hands-on part, in innovations, and out-of-box and critical thinking also. One more incident I will like to quote. I was attending a Vice Chancellor's conference and Director's conference of IIT 2 years back. One of the director of the prestigious IIT said in the conference in his talk that it is very difficult for a teacher even in IIT to maintain discipline in 1 hour class. It's a challenging time for our teachers. So what we are teaching as a routine in the classroom, all is available in his mobile, in our mobile. So that's what I said, that you have to give something which is not in the books, which is not in the ChatGPT. So that you have to provide, and for that you have to acquire new technologies, application of new technologies, and all such things you have to find. Another thing, another comment he made during that conference, the same director said that the students, those who are coming in prestigious IITs, they are also doing the same curriculum. They are going 4 years program at IIT with the almost same. In 12th up to 12th, they have the same curriculum. Up to +2, they have all students. They have the same curriculum, and in engineering 4 year also almost they have the same curriculum. So what is the difference between the students from our institutions and the students from few prestigious IIT or other institutions of the world class? That this he's commented that they have critical thinking, out of box thinking capabilities. Somehow they have developed these capabilities. So that's why they are performing differently. So we should all, as a faculty, we should give room to our students so they can also think differently. Whatever ideas they are coming in their mind, we should listen to them. We should add and we should guide to our students how can they can explore their ideas, how can come out with prototype. So this is the role of the teacher. Now, definitely, large number of foreign delegates, they are attending this workshop conference. They will interact, they will share the practices being followed in their country. I request faculty members, please listen to them and try to adopt, because the environment and the methodology is changing very, very fast. So we have to understand the best practices being adopted across the world. We have to modify these best practices in our environment, in our society, how we can implement it, and also relevance of the technology, as Ramanji was talking about, that sustainable goal. How these technologies, they can be beneficial for the society. Like few days back, there was a news that in Uttarakhand, one drone that supplied the medicine to the remotest part of the state. So these are the use of the technology for the benefit of the mankind. So I request, I appeal my faculty, my students. So whatever work you do, you keep the society in your mind, how best we can utilize this technology, your innovation for the best of the society, best of our nation and the world as a whole. So with all these words, once again I thank NIET and the convener and the organizer of this conference for inviting me and giving me this opportunity so that I could interact with the foreign delegates. The outcome of this conference is that definitely the convener and the organizers will compile. I will request them, please share that. We'll also study these outcomes of this workshop and how, what best way we can implement it, we can bring to it in our policy, we'll see it. One thing which Ramanji pointed out, I forgot to mention in my address, that how best we can use our infrastructure for 24 hours. Because he rightly said the institutions, they are working from 9 to 5 only, and rest of the times the huge infrastructure is remain idle, laboratories and all such things. So it's really a good suggestion I will like to share. As we know that our hospitals, they are working 24 hours, our transport system is working 24 hours, police departments, they are almost all, so our educational institutions, they can also work 24 hours. One thing what we have done is that previously there was a concept of part-time courses and something type courses. Now that concept of part-time has been removed. We are asking our institution to run classes at a convenient time, at whatever the convenient time to. Now there are only 3 modes of the education. One is face-to-face, right? Another is ODL, and third one is online. There is no part-time education is there. If you are getting education in face-to-face mode, this is one mode. Whether at what time you are getting, that is not important. What day, whether you are getting it on Sunday or Saturday, that is not important. Whether if you are getting the education in face-to-face mode, that is the regular mode of education. So transparently, if we are announcing the time of the classes to our students, to the faculty on our portal, or we are informing them, so we are not putting any bar that you run the colleges from 9 to 5. Even you can work up to 9 to 9 in the evening, right? So the time constraint we have removed from the last 2 years in AICT. So we understand that our infrastructure must function round the clock. And one more thing is that because we have laboratory facilities and state-of-art laboratories, our institutions have got. They are not lesser than any of the best institutions in the world, our facilities. But we are not taking the maximum advantage of these facilities. This is true. This is what you want to convey to me. I understand. And we have asked, we have requested our institutions, please run skill-based courses. Utilize the expertise available in the institution and the facilities available in the laboratories for the betterment of the society. Maybe these courses can be started. We have given this approval for a large number of courses in the country, but still very few institutions, they have taken advantage of that. But I will also request faculty members, administration of these institutions, to suggest all ways, innovative ways, how best we can use the infrastructure. Definitely, I assure you, these best ways we will examine and will put these suggestions before the society that you adopt it. So I will request some of the things, initiative we have done in this direction, but if you have some better ways to suggest us, please suggest us. Everywhere we are going, wherever we are going, we are requesting you, please suggest us, give suggestions how we can improve our education system, because alone a regulator or the government cannot improve any education system. It is the collective responsibility of all of us where we can improve, we can make some positive changes in our education system. So once again, with all these words, I thank all of you for giving me this opportunity. Namaskar, Jai Bharat.
So designing, shaping, regulating and implementing the educational content and process is a very complex task. We listen the master curator who is mastered in this activity. Please again have a huge round of applause for Professor Rajesh Kumar. Now we will proceed with the release of the conference proceedings. Dignitaries on the stage and Professor Anna, Professor Rafal and Professor Murli are requested to join us on the stage for release of the conference proceedings. Thank you all. Now it's the time for felicitating our guests. I would like to request see the your curiosity about the content.
Miss something?
I said the curiosity about the content. So now I would like to request Executive Vice President Mr. Raman Batra to kindly felicitate Chief Guest Professor Rajiv Kumar. DG sir is requested to kindly felicitate Professor Noor. Director sir is requested to kindly felicitate Professor Kasha. Dr. Kumud is requested to felicitate Dr. Yash Chawla. Director sir is requested to felicitate Professor Rafal. DG sir is requested to felicitate Professor Anna. Dr. Kumud is requested to felicitate Professor Murli Raman. Now, I would like to request Honorable Director General, NIET, Mr. Praveen Soneja, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning. Professor Rajiv Kumar, Chief Guest of the Day, Member Secretary. Sir, we all at NIT feel privileged to have you here with us today. Good morning. Professor Rajiv Kumar, Chief Guest of the Day, Member Secretary AICT. Sir, we all at NIT feel privileged to have you here with us today. Your presence means a lot to us. A big thank you for accepting our invitation at such a short notice and being with us for enlightening us. Thank you. Dr. Sarojini Agarwal, our Chairperson, Dr. O.P. Agarwal, Managing Director, Dr. Neema, Additional MD, Mr. Raman Batra, EVP. We are truly blessed to have such a forward-looking and progressive management team at the helm of affairs. Thank you for blessing this global initiative to assimilate knowledge from across the globe. A big thank you for partners in hosting this event, led by Assistant Professor Yash Chawla, Innovation and Marketing Management, Wrocław University, Poland, and ICT Academy. A big thank you for our delegates who have from abroad who have chosen to be physically here. Your presence here is of immense value to us. Thank you. Our sincere thanks to all the speakers and participants from across the globe who have accepted our invitation and agreed to share their thoughts for the larger benefit of the mankind. Thank you, Dr. Vinod and Kapse, Director of the Institute and the hub of all action at NIT. A big thank you to the Advisory Board, Technical Committee, and our industry partners, DSC Digital Poland. Thank you, Dr. Kumud, for leading this initiative and bringing such enlightened resources together on one platform. Thank you. A big thank you to all the deans, HODs, organizers, members of various committees who have been working tirelessly over the weeks to shape this conference. Thank you. My sincere thanks to all the support staff, without which support we would not have been standing here. Our sincere thanks to the media personnel and the guests present here. The vibrancy and energy present in the atmosphere is actually signaling me to stop because people are just want to go and get on with the deliberations. So big thank you to all and wish you all the success to this conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. After this, we will play the national anthem, and after national anthem, the keynote session, speaker session will start. So all are requested to kindly remain in the auditorium after the national anthem. May I request to all of you to kindly rise at your place.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you very much all for gracing the occasion. Professor Rafa, Professor Anna and Professor Murli, please join us on the stage for the photograph.
Yes, I need to have an interview.
After this, we will start the keynote speaker session, so please be in the auditorium. Please remain in the auditorium.
ताकि किसी के निकलने में कहीं भी दिक्कत ना हो. ठीक है, हाँ, बैठ सकते हैं, कर सकते हैं, होना चाहिए.
Thank you.
दे दो मेरे को। क्या हुआ? काव्या से पूछा कि बैटरी का है, चलो टैबलेट पूछा कि बैटरी का है, चलो टैबलेट लेके चलते हैं। हाँ ये वाला टैबलेट ये ले जाएंगे, ले जा टैबलेट लेके चलते हैं। हाँ ये वाला टैबलेट ये ले जाएंगे, ले जा। हाँ केमिकल बैटरी का है इसका।
She earned her PhD in 2005 in biochemistry from Cairo University. Having more than 124 manuscripts published, 10 book chapters, 9 books, and boasting of the Google Scholar in Science of 2270, then H index of 23, Scopus H index 16, those are the R&D credentials which need no introduction. So now I would like to request Professor Noor Al-Gendi to kindly deliver her keynote session.
Hello. Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank Noida Institute for inviting me and my dear friend Meshra, who gave me this opportunity to be with you.
on this day. My talk will be how we can reach for a clean and sustainable environment under the concept of waste is not a waste until being wasted. And I believe that you already applying this. We have our certificate and all of our stuff as present is from recycled waste. It's very nice and very sustainable. First of all, I would like to give our students here a brief talk about what's the meaning of sustainable development and what are these goals. In the same year that the Paris Agreement was signed, 17 Sustainable Development Goals were adopted by the United Nations member states. The 17 goals were set to achieve all the requirements to save our planet Earth and make our inhabitants and humans and people enjoy peace and prosperity. It's really based on three interdisciplinary pillars: environment, society, and economy. Why we concentrate on environment and not any other thing? Because if you have, under the concept that if you have a clean and sustainable environment, so you have an affordable, clean food, and also you will have an affordable and sustainable sources of water. You will have a clean and save your climate. You will save life on land and underneath water. So you will have human with good health, and you have a sustainable cities, sustainable education. So you can achieve a sustainable economy and sustainable society in this way. So we would most of our problem that we are thinking without acting or acting without thinking. We should figure out our problems and to find the solution in a sustainable and cost-effective solution. The main problem we are suffering all from is the pollution. What are the kinds of pollution we mean suffer? Water, air, and soil pollution, and we also have noise pollution, which causes a lot of stress, visual pollution from the waste, solid waste in general, thermal and light and radioactives. What are the sources of this pollution? Each country has its own sources of pollution, but mostly we suffer from food waste in general, from our household activities, restaurant, touristic activities, and in food industries. We have also industrial pollution, from all the industrial activities. We have different types of pollution causing water, air, and soil, and also solid waste. Agriculture, in general, agriculture sectors also produce a huge amount of pollution and huge amount of waste that should be managed. Oil and gas industry and coal industry and coal mining and mining in general is also main sources of pollution. All of these types of pollution has very bad negative impact and withdrawing the achievement of the SDGs, and also has very bad negative impact on our human health, environment, and socially, and so it will have negative impact on society and social impact and economy also. What is the difference between climate and weather? Climate is the measuring of different parameters, which are temperature, humidity, precipitation, wind, pressure, and cloudiness, same like weather, but the changes in climate over a long period of time. Weather, it's very short time between minutes and hours. Every planet is surrounded by atmosphere. Earth is surrounded by 5 layers, which mainly are composed of gases. The main component of these constituents is nitrogen and oxygen. The rest is 1%, which have the carbon dioxide. If the carbon dioxide increases or the greenhouse gas emission increases in the atmosphere, so the problem of climate change occurs. Greenhouse gases is useful under its limited percentage. Why? Because it keeps our Earth warm with an average temperature of 15 degrees centigrade. It's mainly composed of, as you can see, global warming occurs. Why? When these greenhouse gases increase. Each planet, for example, Mars, is not suitable for living. Why? Because it has a thin layer of atmosphere, so the temperature is reaching average minus 50 degrees. While Venus has a huge or thick layer of atmosphere, so the temperature is more about 120 degrees. Earth should have no more than 0.03% carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, otherwise it becomes warmer and warmer. What are the sources or the causes of climate change: coal mining in general, air pollution, industrial processes in general, deforestation, and also greenhouse gases in the increase of 5% of it of carbon dioxide. Then come methane, nitrous oxide, and then the fluorinated gases. The problem is that the main industrial countries suffering from air pollution and also from huge amount of greenhouse gases, and mainly from China, USA, Europe, Iranian, and India, and the rest coming from all over the world. The most problematic after the industrialization era, which started on 1950, as you can see, carbon dioxide increased by more than 62%. Carbon dioxide remains in our atmosphere for about 200 years. Methane remains only for 100 years. However, the problem from methane is much more. Why? Because it traps heat and warmth about from 28 to more than 34 times that of carbon dioxide. What are the sectors? The main contributors are the electricity in general and generation of electricity or electric power generation. Why? Because mainly depend on coal and mazot. Agriculture and forestry. Then comes why? Because it contributes for the not only for the open burning, which leads to carbon dioxide, but also the degradation of this waste produces methane. Then come the industrial, transportation, and other energy sectors. The key solutions needed to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, mainly for 10 parts: phase out coal plants. But now, after the Ukrainian and Russian war, I don't think we can manage this all over the world. Invest in clean energy and efficiency. Decarbonize in buildings and cement and plastics and steel industries in general. Shift to electric vehicles. Increase the public transportation, biking and walking. Decarbonize aviation and shipping. Now we all go to the green hydrogen to solve the problem of aviation and shipping fuels. Halt deforestation, restore degraded lands and green areas. Reduce food loss and waste and improve agricultural practices. Eat more plants and less meat so you can decrease the emission of methane. For example, I will give you some sources of pollution and from different industries, especially oil and gas industry. It causes water, soil, and air pollution. Why? Because petroleum and coal mainly composed of carbon, hydrogen, and then come sulfur and nitrogen oxides, saturates, aromatic resins, and asphaltene. The problem comes by the increasing of our population all over the world. It is expected that our needs from petroleum would be rise by 40% by the year 2025. But also after the Ukrainian and Russian war, we all suffering and we need more and more oil for this war. This comes also with the problem we face in the Middle East, which have a high reserve, having a higher reserve of the high quality light crude oil with low asphaltenic content. Now the main reserve all over the world is heavy crude oil with high concentration of asphaltene, sulfur and nitrogen compounds, which make the production of this from underneath problematic, and also it leads to needs high temperature and pressure in the refining process and the production of petrochemicals, so emitted more and more pollution. As you can see, the heaviest or the more the viscosity of the crude oil, the higher and the increase in sulfur and nitrogen content, which underutilization this valuable natural source complicates and defeats its extraction, and all hampers pumping, transportation, refining, and handling of crude oil in general. As I said before, all over the world now, to decrease the problem of climate change, there are legislation to limit the sulfur content in the transportation fuel to reach zero emitted sulfur oxides and nitrogen oxides. So you need more sophisticated and complicated refining process, which is very expensive, needs higher temperature and pressure, and very expensive catalyst. Why? Because if sulfur compound remains in the refining of the transportation fuels, it is corrosive, and moreover, it reduces the efficiency of the catalytic converters of the automobiles. So this leads to the incomplete combustion of fuels and increase the greenhouse gases as also. It causes the primary cause of chemical smog, global warming, and water pollution. Why? Because they are produced not only the greenhouse gases, but also the secondary pollutants, which are the acid rains, sulfuric and nitric acid. These acid rains damaging our crops, damaging our land, damaging our soil, and also poisons lakes and rivers, leading to the killing of the fishing population. It has a very bad negative impact on the economy and society. Moreover, it produces the toxic hydrogen sulfide, toxic and corrosive hydrogen sulfide gas, which is destroying our buildings and monuments and our touristic places. Another problem from oil and gas industry is the presence of high concentration of polyaromatic compounds, which are polyaromatic hydrocarbons, polyaromatic sulfur heterocyclic compounds, polyaromatic nitrogen heterocyclic compounds, and the phenolic compounds. This not only produced by the incomplete combustion of fuels from pyrogenic sources, but also if oil spills occurs. The problem that they can persist for a long period of time if oil spills occur. For example, these compounds, sulfur compounds and nitric compounds, are represented now as biomarkers, as they can persist for a long period of time after the oil spill occurs. Phenolic compound is not only produced from oil industry, but also from petrochemical plants, coal gasification plants, cooking plants, and dyes industry. The problematic is it's more water soluble than its precursors or the polyaromatic in general. So it's more hazardous to our environment. This compound is the asphaltene compound, which is the main component of the heavy crude oil now. As you can see, it's very complicated. So when oil spill occurs, as it can persist a very long period of time because it is resistible to weathering, natural weathering, photodegradation, and biodegradation. These are some compounds also produced when oil spill occurs, which are biomarkers and persist for very long period of time in our environment. What are the effects of oil spill in general? It destroys and will have very bad negative impact on marine mammalian and the marine ecosystem in general. Destroy our coral reefs, marine plants, fish population, and also it has a very bad negative impact on algae in general, especially microalgae, which is very important and make us alive on land because it produces approximately 50% of our need of oxygen on the atmosphere by the consumption of the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide through photoautotrophic. So when oil spills occur, it also destroys our shorelines and touristic places. Moreover, it has a high concentration of soluble heavy metal, so it can also pollute our underground water. So it has a serious threat to local ecological diversity, disrupt food chains for a long period of time, destroys our green areas, and leads also to deforestation and deterioration of soil. So it has a direct and indirect effect on human, especially when human consumes plants or animals that eat plants which has accumulated these toxic heavy metals and phenolic and polyaromatic compounds. This table shows you some of my team have collected some of fish which were been fished or collected from sea waters near maintenance workshops for touristic boats in Egypt. As you can see, the fish organs has a very high concentration of the 16S polyaromatic compound listed by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as priority pollutant. These compounds are considered to be carcinogenic, mutagenic, and genotoxic compounds. Another problem we all suffer all over the world now, which also withdrawing the achievement of SDGs, is the water stress and the water stress. The main problem is not only from from agriculture industry. Oil industry is the second sector after agriculture industry for consumption of water. For enhancing oil recovery and production of oil from land, we need approximately from 0.2 to 343 gallons of water to produce 1 gallon of crude oil. This produced what's called formation water or petroleum production produced water. This is highly contaminated. Petroleum production produced water is approximately from 3 to 4 times of the produced crude oil. The older the oil field, the higher and higher more the consumption of the water needed for its production. It can reach from 7 to 10 times. This water has highly toxic, it has a high salinity, so it should be diluted before it's discharged to oceans, or it will lead to toxic to aquatic plants and animals. It has a high concentration of ammonia, so it will lead to the problem of eutrophication, which is the massive growth of or algal blooms, which you can see on our shorelines. So it will disrupt natural ecological balance. It has a high concentration of heavy metals, high concentration of dissolved organic compounds, and also dissolved aromatics. Petrochemical industry, which we all depend on it all over the world, is another problematic and consumes also huge amount of water. Wastewater, for example, 99.93 million barrel per day crude oil consumption in the petrochemical industry produce approximately 6,500 million of liters of wastewater per day. This water is also very highly contaminated, have a high concentration of fertilizers, corrosion inhibitors, pesticides, and other heavy metals and phenolic compounds. So, to solve this problem, we should reuse this water in the enhanced oil recovery, in cooling towers, in the petrochemical industry itself. But to make this, we should guarantee that this water should be treated to reach very low concentration of sulfates, carbonates, bicarbonate variant, calcium, strontium. Otherwise, it will lead to corrosion problems and also to prevent precipitation of damaging scales in the injection, production wells and pipes in general. If you want to discharge this water safely, you should guarantee that it reaches to the permissible limits of the standards set by your country. Every country has its standard for discharging this water on open seas and oceans. These are the processes used in general for the wastewater treatment in all the industrial sector. Physically, the primary stage, secondary stage is chemically, and then comes the biological treatment methods, which is very important because it removes up to reaching to 99% removal of the carbon oxygen demand. Another problem we suffer in the industrial sector mainly is what's called not only chemical corrosion, but also the microbial influenced corrosion. This occurs by the presence of microorganisms in water system in general. The main contributors are the special types of bacteria, which are sulfate-reducing bacteria, which produce hydrogen sulfide, the corrosive gas, and also acid-producing, which produce mainly acids, and the iron-reducing bacteria, which also producing the iron sulfide precipitate, which leads to what's called pitting and cracking corrosion. Microbial enhanced corrosion, for example, costs about 20% of the total corrosion cost in oil and gas industry. The main contributor, as I said, and the main problematic is the SRB, or the sulfate-reducing bacteria. Why? Because it can survive over a wide range of pHs, temperature, and wide range of salinities. It can be alive and tolerate high concentration of temperature, high temperature and pressure. And also, as I said before, it's producing the most corrosive gases with iron sulfide and hydrogen sulfide gas. This slide shows you how this microorganisms survive. It mainly caused by the presence of the aerobic microorganism or the pathogenic microorganism in our water streams. When this aerobic microorganism comes and attaches to any solid surface, it produces what's called extrapolymeric substances, which is protecting environment, protecting biofilm. It's mainly composed or constituted of proteins, polysaccharides, and DNA, which makes the area underneath it available and sufficient for the reproduction of the anaerobic microorganism. This biofilm is problematic because it is tolerable and protects the microbes against all the treatments, chemical treatment, biological treatment, or even UV light. When the sloughing of these organisms occurs, can result in contamination of our water system in general. Another problem we suffer from is the solid waste in general. For example, in Egypt, we suffer from the solid waste. Approximately more than 60% of it comes from the organic solid waste, from our food industry, from our agriculture sector in general. And I know that India also suffers from this type of waste. Part of this is used for paper production, pulp, fertilizer, animal feeders, composting, mushroom cultivation, and some vegetable cultivation. And still, we have a huge amount of it. And most of the farmers and the industry getting rid of it by land farming, or by open burning, which leads to the increase of the problem of climate change, and withdrawing the achievement of the SDGs. Climate change, why it is problematic? Because oceans and seas can absorb approximately 90% of our excess heat and 25% of the emitted carbon dioxide. But this makes the water and the quality of the water not good. Why? Because the water becomes warmer, so sea level rise occurs, less oxygen, more acidic, so this will damage our coral reefs and leads to the reproduction and decrease of the phenomena of eutrophication, and leads to the production of the toxic algae, and it will decrease the fish population and our food security in general. This shows you how climate change leads to natural disasters, for example, floods and droughts, sea level rise, increase in precipitation, melting of glaciers and ice caps. Has very bad negative impact on health, agriculture, forest, water resources, coastal area, and we lead to the great loss in many species on land. This diagram shows you after the industrialization area, which started in 1950, how we suffer from a rapid increase in temperature, increase in natural disaster, the occurrence of natural disaster, and also the increase of the sea level. Climate change, if we move on like this, the temperature of our land will increase to be more than 1.5 degree or 2 degree. If we reach by the end of this century to 2 degree, it is expected that we could lose approximately the whole treasure of coral reefs. Approximately 18% species loss in insects, 16% species loss of plants, approximately 8% loss of our vertebrates. People will suffer, for 110 million will be affected from drought, and also there will be about 49 million people will be affected by the rise in sea level. Air pollution in general has a very bad negative impact on our immunity system, and especially on the children. It can cause air damage, brain damage for children. It also affects their normal lung development, and also has very bad negative in their hormonal, heart, and immunity system. During the COVID pandemic, studies all over the world proved that countries which suffered from high concentration of air pollution have suffered from high mortality rates, because air pollution causes hypertension, diabetes, and respiratory diseases in general. Climate change impacts our medical and physical health. For example, for medical and physical, changes in fitness and activity level, and also causes allergies and the increase of certain diseases and viruses. Mental health, which is mainly stress and anxiety, depression, grief, sense and sense of loss. Community health, increased violence and crime. Social impact and economic impact of climate change is summarized in this slide. It's the cost of adapting coastal area to rising sea levels, loss of the capacity to work due to heat, more wars because lesser and lower resources, fresh water will be in short supply in some areas, diseases will spread due to the higher temperature, extreme meteorological phenomena will cause widespread poverty, prices of basic foodstuff and consumer goods will rise, shrinking productivity in general, and relocation of whole towns would occur. Since our aim all over the world now to reach for a health and safe environment and achieve the SDGs. Paris Agreement on COP21 by the year 2015 said that we should all reach to net zero carbon dioxide emissions by the year 2050 to make the temperature not rise on Earth than 1.5 degrees. However, again, after the war, this will be difficult. The limit global warming to 1.5 degrees should make us global net carbon dioxide emission need to fall by 45% from 210 level up to 2030. So we are in race now between zero emission or race to resilience. Climate change mitigation is refers to avoiding and reducing emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Adaptation to climate change means efforts to prepare and adjust to current and future impact of this problem. So, I suggest a solution which is waste is not waste until being waste. If we want to reach health and safe environment, achieve the SDGs, we should think all together for reduce, reuse, recycle of all our waste, and we should differentiate between recycling, downcycling, and upcycling. Downcycling is a reuse, but usually to produce lower value products. When we want to reach a real solution, we should do valorization or upcycling, which means transform byproducts, waste material, useless or unwanted product into more value-added product. If we all think like this, so we will have a four-fact solution for economy, energy, environment, and waste management. We should all gather together to think to reach all the process for zero waste processes and also achieve the concept of circular economy. Now I will give you a brief of the application of biotechnology in general in different fields in our life to reach sustainable life and achieve the SDGs. Application of biotechnology and nanotechnology together in bioinformatics, for example, have a gold color. Application of biotechnology in medical is red color. Application of biotechnology in industry is a white color, for example, producing biofuels, bioplastic, and biopolymers and biocatalysts. Application of biotechnology in food industry is yellow. Application of biotechnology for the reclamation of the environment in general has a gray color. Application of biotechnology in agriculture sector is the green color. Application of biotechnology in marine environments is blue. Application of biotechnology in desert and dry area is the brown color. And then comes the patents, papers, ethical philosophy of biotechnology has a violet. And the last one, which we all don't need, is the black biotechnology, application of biotechnology as the weapon. Now we come to solution. Application of biotechnology in biotreatment of wastewater, soil, polluted soil and environment can be achieved by applying algae in a process called phycoremediation, fungi and yeast in the process of mycoremediation, bacteria in the process and the enzyme in process of bioremediation. If we use dead biomass, in general, we can apply it as a bioreaction. The problem to achieve the reclamation of environment or the industrial application of biotechnology in the industry, when we use enzymes or bacteria or fungi, is the short lifetime of the microorganism or the enzyme. To overcome this problem, you should apply cost-effective process like that of immobilization. You can apply this by green synthesis of nanomaterial or by using waste like that of activated carbon or biochar produced from agriculture. Green synthesis of nanomaterials or nanoparticles is very sustainably and recommendable because the green synthesized nanomaterials using different waste can be applied in wastewater treatment, can be safely applied in agriculture, in medical application, in the textile industry, and also in food preservation and energy and the environment. Now we come for, as a solution also, is the production of biofuels, whatever solid, liquid, or gaseous biofuel using waste. Why biofuel in general? Because it is biodegradable, renewable, cost-effective, no engine modification if you apply biodiesel because it's nearly the same characteristics of that like that of petrodiesel. reduced emissions in general, higher flash point, so it is safely to be stored and transported. No need for additional lubricants because it is good, has good lubricity. The main important thing for ethanol is its highly octane number, so it's mainly recommendable for flexible vehicles in general. Biodiesel could lead to closed carbon dioxide cycle for the decrease of about 78% of produced carbon dioxide. Ethanol can close the cycle also, produce approximately decrease of 70% of the emitted carbon dioxide. So when we apply biofuel in our industry and our transportation system, so it will reduce foreign oil dependency, increase our economic viability, and employment opportunities. But the problem when we use biofuel is still that all over the world they produce it from food or oily crops. And this leads to removal of forests and land for food to lead to what's called food versus fuel problem. For example, 8 bushels of or 203 kilograms of corn is enough to feed a human over a whole year, but it will produce only approximately 22 gallons of ethanol. So we go to second generation biofuel by using lignocellulosic waste and waste cooking oil and non-edible oil crops. Third generation applying algae, and fourth generation generally from using modified organisms or non-biological feedstocks in general, or using captured carbon dioxide for producing methane, or renewable electricity and wood and water by applying producing what's called green hydrogen. If we reach for second generation and third, it will reduce the production cost, preserve our food supply chain, economically overcome waste management problem, reduce unemployment, and open huge market for recycling of waste in general. The most problem when applying production bioethanol from lignocellulosic waste is you should have your own microorganisms and enzymes capable in it to hydrolyze and produce through solid state fermentation by using the lower amount of water to produce huge amount of high yield of bioethanol. So you should have your own microorganisms capable of fermenting pentoses and hexoses. For biodiesel, when we apply homogeneous catalyst, it is problematic, acidic, it's corrosive and lengthy process and needs high temperature and pressure. Applying basic catalyst is good, but it consumes huge amount of water because in the neutralization and cleaning of the produced biodiesel. And it's also used once. When we apply heterogeneous catalyst, we overcome most of these problems, especially when you produce this catalyst from food waste in general. Now I will give you some brief examples to solve most of these problems. For example, you can by treatment of oily polluted water produce value-added product like biosurfactant, which has very different industrial application. As you can see, this is a real field application we have done with my colleagues to treat soil polluted with oily sludge from oil tank cleaning, and by using carbon steel liquor and molasses from the waste of producing sugars and the starch industry. This enhances the rate of bioremediation, and also the soil become available and ready for recultivation. For bioethanol, this diagram shows you how you can apply a full integrated process, reaching zero waste process, and increase the yield of bioethanol and decrease the overall cost. You can produce in one integrated process enzymes, bioethanol, bioethanol, acids, and the spent waste can be used for production of single-cell protein, refuse-derived fuel, activated carbon, and metal oxide nanomaterial, which can be applied in the petroleum upgrading of petroleum industry, production of biocides for wastewater treatment and water disinfection, catalyst for production of biodiesel from waste cooking oil, and photocatalyst for wastewater treatment. Why? Because this is the main structure of the lignocellulosic waste, which have the functional groups and the hydrophobic characteristics and the characteristics that can be used for absorption of pollutants in general. This shows you a real field study we have done with my colleagues. For example, rice straw itself can be used for producing cellulases, bioethanol, and the spent waste can have been applied for the reclamation of wastewater from dye industry, and also petrochemical and refinery wastewater, and the spent waste after the biosorption process have been used to produce soil biofuel and activated carbon. This work have been also another diagram with our published work and project. We have used the produced water after coming from petroleum in the enhanced oil recovery process. The formation water have been retreated and to be reused in the enhanced oil recovery. It reached to the permissible limit also for our standard to be openly discharged. So this process decreased the cost of water treatment, decreased the hardness, reduced water aggressive index and the scaling tendency. So it can be safely used for re-injection. The spent waste after the production of bioethanol from rice straw have a huge amount of silica. This silica can be extracted to be used as a mobilizing matrix for enzymes which can be applied for the production of biodiesel. For nanobiotechnology, also spent yeast biomass in the fermentation process by the green synthesis using the spent waste hydrolysate after the production of bioethanol. We have green synthesized titanium, which can apply for the recycling of the biosorbent to be reused for several times. Also, the fungi used in the process of production of bioethanol, we have a huge biomass of this. So, this can be also used for the green synthesis of cobalt oxide nanomaterial and silver nanomaterial, which have different application in wastewater treatment for killing and as a biocide for pathogenic microorganisms, and also different industrial applications. Citrus peel itself can be also used for the green synthesis of green nanomaterial like that of magnetite and hematite, which enhances the rate of bioremediation, and also can make the microorganism or the enzyme used for several cycles without losing its activity, increases also its stability. And also can be applied for photodegradation of dye, water contaminated with dye. Another example is the production of green corrosion inhibitors from our food waste, like that of outer brown skin of onion, garlic, and orange peels and mandarins, and henna. As you can see, it overcomes the problem of chemical corrosion, this green synthesized corrosion inhibitor, and also it can be used as a biocide for sulfate-reducing bacteria and some types of pathogenic microorganisms. The most important thing, this green corrosion inhibitor is safely and eco-friendly. It doesn't affect the non-target microorganisms or the organisms in general. The spent waste after the extraction of this valuable product can be also used for production of activated carbon with different applications. For biodiesel, you can produce green catalysts from different types of food waste like that of eggshell, mollusk shell, animal bones. The animal bone after the production of these catalysts and the production of bioethanol, this for sure you can be also reused for wastewater treatment because it has a good photocatalytic properties. And also the byproduct of biodiesel process is bioglycerol, which can be used as a co-substrate in the process of bioremediation and biodesulfurization. Watermelon can be also used, can be also used for production of metal oxide, which has good photocatalytic degradation properties, and also zinc oxide can be also applied with animal bone as a biocide for pathogenic microorganisms. My last chart will show you one of my new projects in my lab is that using fruit peels in one step or one integrated process for production of bioethanol and biobutanol and the enzymes, and also nanocatalysts, which with the spent waste hydrolysate can be used for the production of green hydrogen also. So in conclusion, food waste is a big opportunity towards the SDGs. Lignocellulosic waste is also a big opportunity towards the SDGs. Sustainable eco-friendly recruitment of waste biomass for clean fuel, value-added products, and wastewater treatment has a positive impact on national economy, human health, environment, industrial and energy sectors, and also help us to achieve the 17 goals of SDGs with its 3 pillars: environment, society, and economy. So, We should do more awareness toward waste recycling with the concept of zero waste processes and green economy and also circular economy. Gather all information about all the types of pollution we suffer from, all the types of problems in our industrial sector to find green solution, green and sustainable solution. Analyze the information of the problem and all the available waste resources that can be applied to solve this problem. Do vision and planning, implement your plan, and then see reflection to save time, energy, effort, and cost. So there will be always better tomorrow through recycling and thinking of out of the box for sustainability. These are some examples of my published book. And thank you, and this is my email for any collaboration with your students in NIET. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Noor. Now I would like to request Dr. Priyanka Chandani, Head of Emerging Branches, to kindly present the memento to Professor Noor. If you want to ask any questions to Professor Noor, those are welcome. Thank you once again, Professor Noor. Our next keynote speaker is Professor Kasha. I would like to read a brief profile of Professor Kasha. Again, I would like to thank Professor Yash to make me pronunciate them correctly. Professor Kasha is a professor of social simulation and statistical physics and mentor of Academia Lebanon at the Rostov University of Science and Technology. She is the recipient of Young Scientist Award for Socio and Econophysics 2007 and the Medal of the Commission of National Education 2011. Over the last 20 years, Kasha has built an impressive international reputation with over 2,000 Scopus Index citations without auto-citations, and at H-Index in excess of 20, she is one of the leading word expert opinion dynamics. Her other research interests include agent-based modeling and simulation, complex systems, computational economics, phase transitions, and social psychology. She is the co-author of the widely acclaimed Schneid model of opinion formation. The original article, IG MPC 2000, has been cited over 1,000 times. Now I would like to request Professor Kasha to kindly deliver a keynote session.
So, good morning. It seems that we have to wait for a while. So let me use this few minutes to tell you how much how happy I am to be here, because those people that know me, they know how much I admire Indian culture. So I often ask this question: have you seen? Probably you have seen, but have you seen Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum? Yeah. So I saw it for the first time, because I saw it several times already, 20 years ago, and since this time I really fell in love in Indian culture. So I really appreciate you having me here. I really thank you. I'm really very I was planning to use 15 minutes of your life for my lecture. I don't know how to go, but in fact I can speak even without this. So suppose that I know each of you in this room. I know what are your dreams. I know what you like. I know how much money you have. Do you think that it gives me the whole information about this society, about the system as a whole? No, of course not, because the way we interact with each other, it makes a difference. So because I came from the statistical physics, theoretical physics, my favorite example includes water molecules, and I will use this example right now. So do you know what is the difference between single molecule in liquid water or in solid crystal or in vapor? What is the difference for a single molecule? There is no difference. The single molecule looks exactly the same in each of the states. But then there is like changes of an external environment and interactions come into the play, and we see this collective behavior of many, many particles, and they can create these three phases. So when we come together, it's all a matter of interactions, and that's what I'm doing. So we heard during the previous lecture that we need to not to waste things. We need to use more our foods. Okay, we need to walk more. We need to use less transport and so on. So it is all about behavioral change, and I'm working on this. So how you can model, how you can understand this behavioral change. And okay, and now I will start to count my time, but still I hope I will use less than 15 minutes now. So let me start the time counting. Okay, so I said this already. Was my introduction. So now I will show you one example. What is the agent-based modeling? Because agent-based modeling was designed to describe systems that are collected with many individuals that are interacting with each other, and to understand how the system works. So what we see here, these are examples of maps of 3 cities in the United States, and you see clearly very strong spatial segregation by different ethnic groups. You could see this segregation also if you go to conference. You see also some segregation, like for example, women talk more often to women, men talk more often to men, and so on. So you see this special segregation on different levels. And now you could ask why we see what we see. Yash would like to ask opposite question, but let's make it even normal question. So the easy answer would be because people are not tolerant. But maybe it's not the case. And this was the question that was asked by Schelling, who is the Nobel Prize winner. He asked himself why we see the special segregation. Is it really the only answer that people are not tolerant? And he invented very, very simple model. The model was described in this excellent book, Micro Motives and Macro Behavior. So what if people are tolerant? So he invented this model. You have 2 types of agents. Here in this picture you have 2 colors of stone, red and green, and you put them on a chessboard, like randomly, completely randomly. Not all places are occupied, and now there is a simple rule. You would like to have in the neighborhood some amount of people that are like you. If you are red, you can have some green around you, but you would like to have some amount of red in your neighborhood. So this amount is parameter of the model. Let's call it T. So let's say that I would like only to have 30% people around me like I am. So what will happen then? Okay, if I don't have this threshold, suppose I don't have this 30%, I will be unhappy and I will try to move somewhere. So this is the rule. I'm looking at my neighborhood. If I have enough like me, I will stay. If I don't have, I will move. Okay, what will come out of this? So if you make a simulation, you can go to this webpage, NetLogo, you can download the NetLogo, it's free, and you can play with this model because this model is a NetLogo library. This is the pioneering agent-based model social system. So what happened if, for example, we have this tolerance threshold 30%. So I'm really tolerant. you see, when I run this model, after some time, I will see still this very strong spatial segregation, which is quite astonishing. If I increase this threshold, like for example, to here, what I have here, I have 60%. This is my threshold. So I can have some other people around me. I just want to have more like me around me than others. And you see this very, very strong spatial segregation. So this is what we call macro surprise, although of micro knowledge. So even if we know individual people, we know how they behave, we know what are their preferences, still the outcome on the macroscopic level can be very surprising. And this is what the agent-based modeling is about. We look at some structures, we look at some patterns in society, and we try to understand them. I always say that agent-based modeling is not about predictions. In fact, you can make better predictions just to write an equation, but it's about understanding how the system works. Okay, so what is the agent? Have some properties that are stable over time, or they may change. For example, like here, you are red or green, and it will be forever, let's say, because it's your ethnic group. But you could think about opinion, for example, and opinion will change in time. So you can have different properties of agents. Some will be stable, some will be unstable. And of course, what type of agents you take into account depends on the problem you want to solve. Then you have some social, you have some environment. In case of the Schelling model, it was just this square lattice, which I have here, also in this place. It can be this because it is like special, like here, for example, here we are sitting just in rows, so you have like almost square lattice, so it's good representation. But you can also have some social network, like on Facebook, for example. You have friends on Facebook, and it creates social networks. So you can have different types of networks. So again, you have to decide on this. If you are modeling like photovoltaic, for example, roof panels, then probably the square lattice would be better. But if you are, let's say, think about how some fashion spreads, maybe social type of network will be better. And then you have some interactions. So you have some dynamical rules that tells you how agents will change. So like in the Schelling model, what they will do, what was the dynamical rule, they were looking in the neighborhood, deciding if I should stay or should I go. So you define some dynamical rules in the system. Why we do this? As I told you at the beginning, we are mainly interested in behavioral change. We know that, like you said, that a very important issue is also behavioral change. It's very difficult to achieve, and also it was like shown in many studies, empirical studies, that if you think about behavioral change, one of the main factors that influence our behavioral change is our social interactions, so-called peer influence. This is one of the examples of such papers, like review paper, but there are many papers that shows that this behavioral change is due to peer influence. When I'm talking about peer influence, I have in mind different kind of peer effects. It can influence our attitudes or beliefs or opinion on behaviors and so on. So I use this common umbrella to describe it. How can we recognize that it is about peer influence, so really influence of others? So what we usually observe in such situation is something that what we call clustering effect. You see here these two examples. When I zoom in into this upper system, everywhere I zoom, I see more or less the same. When I zoom into this lower picture, when I see this clustering, maybe in some part of the system is all green, in another is all red. So then, using just a single equation, like we often use also to describe that something spreads in the system, is not enough. So, like typical approach in diffusion of innovation, and innovation, when I'm saying innovation, it's not only technical innovation, it can be just the new way of behavior. So we often use equations. This is one of the most known model, it's bus model, and it's just a single equation that describes how the number of adopters change in time. But if you have this spatial differences, then agent-based modeling is much more natural. And also, if you have agent-based modeling, you can ask this type of question, like, for example, how important are local interactions with your nearest, closest friends and your family? How important are distant interactions? If you want to spread some idea, who could be informed as a first guy? So this kind of question we can ask. And we were using these models, and of course it's not that easy to map these social interactions to this agent-based modeling. So this is one of the examples of our paper, already quite old, but this is one, I think, very nice introductory paper to the subject. So we made this correspondence between real social interactions and this dynamical rules. Of course, we based them on real social theories. So this one was based on Paul Nail, whose social psychologist theory, so-called diamond model of social responses. So basically, what you have here, you have 4 types of basic social responses. So conformity is this type, and if you have different opinion than others, but then you come into a contact with others, you start to agree with them. This is what we call conformity. But of course, you can stay independent. This is another type of social response. You interact with others, but you still stay same. So this is another type, and we also have to include this in our models. You can have also anti-conformity. So anti-conformity is a bit crazy type of behavior, because suppose that you are red, then you meet some greens. Suppose that you are green, you meet some other greens, and the other side you become red. It's a bit crazy, but there are people that behave like this. So you see that different types of social behaviors, and of course you have to implement all of them to the model. So this is not always very simple, but we always rely on social theories. And now to give you just one example how it could work, I'm not sure if I will be able to show you a movie, but this is the type of one of the example which shows what happens if you take into account conformity. So you change your opinion according to your neighborhood, plus independence. So you just stay with your own opinion, plus some external field. You play the movie, okay? So great. So we will see a short movie, but before that, let me ask you, what could be the external field? If you think about people, their opinion, they interact with each other, and then we have some external field, what could it be?
Complexity need. Complexity.
Complexity. External field complexity. I don't know if I understand it correctly, but external field is like typically what it is. It is, for example, some kind of advertisement or subsidies, or like new technologies that makes life easier. So something that influences all of us at the same time. Whereas pure interactions are just interactions with our neighbors, with the people we know. Okay, we'll see the movie, very short one, to show you how it works, how it evolves, because maybe it's not that. So suppose here that we have the system at the beginning, everything is red here. Doesn't really matter what does it mean red, but suppose we waste a lot of food. We are red, we waste a lot of food. Now we would like to become a green, so maybe waste less food. So as you see, some people are already green. I don't think you see it, but there are some small dots that are green. And now I will start. I will play. Yeah, you would like to say something? No, there is no sound. I will talk. Yeah, I have only 3 minutes, so yeah. So you will see now that I will insert some external field. For now, external field is not pleasant, so I will play the movie. External field is not present yet. It's 0. The field is 0. So there are some people that are green, but not too many. And then I will increase field. I'm increasing this field a bit. So now it's a bit in favor of green, but it's still very small. So as you see, still nothing much happening here. So this external field is not enough. Then I will increase it even more. I will increase it to a bit more. And then we will see in a short time maybe not that short time, but we will see in a while, that some clusters, I have to look at this, yes, some clusters of green appears. So like we see in reality, this clustering effect. And some of these clusters still disappears because they are too small to spread. But some of them are growing, and they will eventually spread over the whole system, or at least over the big part of the system. So this is how it evolves in time. So you need some critical external fields, so like critical amount of subsidies, or maybe the critical amount of advertisement, or maybe critical, let's say, an involvement of the whole society in order to spread some idea over the society. Okay, I think I can stop it because you have already some impression what is going on. You change it, okay. And I have 1 minute to the end, and I promise you, and I will keep it.
If yes opens the presentation.
Open. Chat. I will manage to do this. Just show me. No, it's not. No. Okay, doesn't really matter. So you saw how it proceeds, and we use this to model, like to ask different type of questions. So like this is in short. Of course, we can just calculate from this like the total number of adopters, and it's this S-shaped, famous S-shaped curve, which is also known from empirical studies. So this is what we can do. And we use this in several our papers on, for example, to understand also the so-called intention behavior gap, why people know they should behave in some way, but they still don't behave like this. Or we use this also to understand the critical level of this involvement on the whole society. So we use it in several places, but I don't want to talk about my papers. You can go to my webpage and check. What I wanted to show you here, I wanted to show you a new tool that is very different from what we usually use. And I wanted to show you that really you see sometimes this critical level of something. Like critical mass, the size of the cluster, if it's too small, it cannot spread. And we don't have to assume really like that this special size of the cluster, it is an outcome of our model. Also, we see that you need some critical level of this external field, whatever the external field means, of course. It's quite abstract model here. But I want just to show you the idea that stays behind. And of course, we can ask many other questions, like here for example, is the map, the network that shows collaboration at our university among physicists. So this is the network of collaboration. And now we can ask what will happen if one of the professors will leave to another university. Will it be disaster or not? So this type of question you cannot ask within equations. And for this type of questions, we use agent-based modeling. I hope that you learned something new. If you have any questions, you can ask me now or you can write me. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Kasha. Now I would like to request Dean Administration and IIT, Dr. D.R. Somashekar, to kindly present memento to Professor Kasha. Now we will proceed for the next keynote address by Dr. Yash Chawla. I would like to read his profile. Dr. Yash Chawla is the General Chair of the ETBI series and Assistant Professor of Innovation and Marketing Management and a member of Academia Levinum at the Warsaw University of Science and Technology. He also serves as R&D Communication Advisor at DAT Digital Business Administration, which enables him to work at the intersection of emerging technology, business and society. He has over a decade of academic and professional consulting experience working with institutions and business in South Asia, Middle East and Europe. In his relatively young scientific career, Yash has published over a dozen Scopus and Web of Science Index publications and has built a strong global research network. Yash is also an accomplished trainer and public speaker and has trained over 75,000 students, teachers, and professionals till date. His close ties with the industry help in bringing insights to his training, classroom teaching, as well as research. He is determined to produce results that aid in promoting sustainable development. I would like to request Dr. Yash Chawla to kindly deliver his keynote address.
Okay, thank you. I know you all must be really tired. I will also try to keep it within 15 minutes. This research that I'm going to talk to you about today is about COVID-19 and the impact that knowledge diffusion or knowledge about COVID-19 itself had on people's behavior and opinion. And as you can see, this research was done in collaboration with a number of universities from around the world, including 9 different countries. And we had started off with 15 researchers on this group, but in the end, the paper was written by 10 of us. As you can see, Aarhus University, University of California, Berkeley, Rennes Business School, and so on. So we had some really diverse researchers. All right, so what was the problem that we were looking at? COVID-19 itself was something which was unprecedented. We did not know what is going to happen next, because the information was changing overnight. Sometimes over a period of few hours, it would change a few times because the researchers themselves did not have proper and concrete information of what was happening. Of course, we knew that there was a virus, it was spreading, it was giving us disease, and there was some level of mortality rate, some level of recovery rate, and so on. But then we have these ninja warriors on social media, and these ninja warriors on social media basically decide their life's mission is to give breaking news to the whole world, and this breaking news is actually the news that breaks us because it's mostly misinformation. And at that point of time, in the early stages of the pandemic, in March, April 2020, when Europe was getting hit severely by the pandemic, a number of agencies actually reached out to say that we have to take unprecedented action to basically curb the fake news about the pandemic itself, because pandemic might end, but this fake news or this cycle of fake news, right now it's about COVID-19, then it will be about something else, and then it will be about the kite falling or flying in the sky. It could be about anything, basically. So we need to fight it. So we as a group of researchers, we came together, and what we wanted to look at, if somebody has knowledge about something, how are they getting the knowledge? And then what is the impact of those knowledge? So we were looking at sources of information and how those sources of information contributed towards the knowledge of an individual, and how that knowledge of individual basically contributed or is associated with behavior or the public opinion itself. Okay, so as I mentioned, there were 2 research questions. Now coming to a very important thing, whenever you want to do science and you want to measure something, or when you want to do a survey and you ask certain questions, if I ask you, how are you doing? And you say, I am good. I will ask somebody else, that person might say something else, right? So that the question has to be framed in a certain way that you can be sure that what you're measuring is what you want to measure. Because good quality, bad quality might be something which will be relative. Good, bad can be relative. Something has to be done, something has not to be done, it can be relative. So what we needed to do first of all is to establish something called an index,
to measure the knowledge about COVID-19 because there was none such index existing in the literature itself. So we built something called CPK. Please remember CPK because I will be using it a number of times till the end of my presentation. So CPK stands for COVID-19 Perceived Knowledge Index. That means that if I ask you 25 questions about COVID-19, you will answer those questions in form of whether you agree or disagree with something, and then I'm able to say what knowledge on a scale of 1 to 100 do you have about COVID-19. So if I say the knowledge level, I would say CPK level, okay? This is how I'm going to use it. And it was basically consisting of 3 sets of questions: general knowledge about COVID-19, the knowledge of how to prevent COVID-19, and the myths and facts that existed at that point. And all of these questions were basically taken from the World Health Organization's website, so because that was the primary source of information that we can assume at that point of time. All right, so we built this complicated model. As you can see, there was a left-hand side, there was the CPK at the center, and there was a right-hand side. On the left-hand side, as I mentioned, there were a few things. First was about the sources of information, and there was a very important variable that we developed is like if you use Facebook, whether you perceive Facebook as a credible source of information or as an non-credible source of information, or you don't have any opinion about it and you're neutral. So this credibility, the level of credibility that you have in a source of information was also that we considered. And we also had this national number of cases. So say if you're based in India, how many COVID-19 cases were happening on the day before you answered our survey, and global number of cases. So this is also a very interesting result that came in. And then on the right hand side, we were checking that if you have say 55, 60 as your level of CPK out of 100, then what would you say about social distancing? What would you say about helping others in quarantine? What would you say that what would be the outcome of COVID and so on? Okay, so I will just take 10 seconds to brief you about the questionnaire itself. So we had about 76 mandatory questions, 15 optional questions, 2 open-ended questions. The whole questionnaire was translated in 27 different languages. And you would be surprised that we did all of this in less than 10,000 Indian rupees. We collected 15,500 plus responses from 121 countries in less than 10,000 Indian rupees. So if you are thinking that you need money to do research, then I would ask you to rethink, because network can do much more than just money. You need to initiate, you need to do something, and then you would get the support that you need from the right people. And we were looking at the global internet users. Okay, I'm not going to go into the details of analysis of data. You can read it in the paper. I would just like to share quickly some interesting results. So if you see the reds, it means it's bad. If you see green, it's good. Now, there are 3 columns here. Of course, I had a suggestion from my boss to improve it, but it was a few days ago and I couldn't do it, so I will still try to explain to you in the easiest possible manner. So what you're looking at is, when I said, if you have a source of information, you can consider it to be credible, you can consider it to be non-credible, and you can consider it to be neutral, okay? So now, when you look at the first column here, this one, this means that if I give you a source of information, then you consider it credible as compared to non-credible. If you look at the second column, it means you consider it to be neutral as compared to non-credible. So anything green in these 2 columns means it is good. Anything red in these columns means it is bad. So if you look here, what is bad? National TV is bad. TV news was good. Radio was good. Newspaper was good. Friends, families discussion, who basically did not know or maybe knew as much as we do, but had these all stories to tell about from nowhere, were considered to be bad. And of course, Google, all the social media platforms were also not good for the level of CPK. So if you are basically discussing something with somebody on Facebook, then probably you would have lower CPK as compared to if you were just following the radio or following the TV news that you had. Again, if you look at LinkedIn or if you looked at Reddit, these were the outliers, because anything people perceiving them as neutral or credible respectively had higher level of CPK as compared to people who were thinking that it is not credible. You can see a very intuitive result. How many of you asked your family doctor about, should I be afraid of COVID? Did anybody ask? 1 or 2 people. So if you would have asked, then you would have relatively higher knowledge of CPK as compared to people who are like, nah, doctor ko kuch nahi pata hai. We cannot ask the doctor, they also don't know anything. Then this was another result which was like a confirmatory result because we took the questions from WHO's website. So if somebody says that I trust WHO, and if they have lower level of knowledge, then it wouldn't make sense, right? So this was like something that was confirmatory. And search engines, if you go on Google and you write, should I be afraid of COVID? Then you will be afraid of COVID. But you don't need to be afraid of COVID. So that was the situation that was happening. Okay. Here, if you see these 4 or 5 things that you have here, questioning the sender, cross-referencing with other sources, discussing with friends and families, adopting suspicious behavior about the messages that you receive. These are basically, in the literature, these are basically classified as techniques to safeguard yourself from misinformation. And as you can see, that if somebody was doing that, they have it in green, so that means their knowledge of CPK was higher as compared to people who are not doing this. So if you want to safeguard yourself from misinformation, probably these are some things that you should adopt in your day-to-day life. Okay, now, I can just skip this, not very interesting. Here, again, you can see that people who had higher knowledge of CPK or higher knowledge of COVID-19 were willing to volunteer to help others, were willing to volunteer to help people who are in quarantine, maybe buy some groceries for elders and so on. So knowledge basically corresponded with positive behaviors towards scrubbing the pandemic or positive behavior towards the social dynamics that existed at that point of time. It was also interesting to see that people were willing to have the social distancing behavior, and they were willing to follow that social distancing behavior if they had higher knowledge of COVID-19. So this also says that proper knowledge is very important. Half knowledge or less knowledge would basically lead you to do things which you might not agree with, and then you might actually be doing the wrong thing. Another thing that was interesting was that people who had the knowledge of or higher CPK, they knew that it is possible to recover, and it might be possible to have some kind of immunity for a certain point of time, and they might not get the virus immediately again. So that is something that was also seen. Okay. People who had more knowledge were not satisfied with the government's response towards COVID-19, but they were in response of basically having the travel bans or the lockdowns. So people who had higher knowledge were basically in favor of all of that. Okay. Sorry, I missed a very important thing here. So as I was mentioning, the number of COVID-19 cases in the country of your residence and number of COVID-19 cases that were happening globally had a considerable association with how much knowledge somebody had about COVID-19. So imagine a scenario that global number of cases are increasing, but in India, the cases are not increasing at all. Then you are less likely to have knowledge about COVID-19 as compared to if the number of cases in India itself were growing. So what does it tell us? That if the fire is in our backyard, then we are worried, but if the fire is in somebody else's backyard, then we don't care. So this gives us a very important learning that even if the fire is in some other backyard, in some other society, in some other city, in some other country, it might actually reach us tomorrow, and we should be prepared about it. So this is something which was very interesting results. Okay, so I will just quickly sum up the main findings of our research. First, your personal perception of the sources that you use for getting any kind of information would actually impact what kind of information you have or what kind of knowledge you have about certain topic. So about social media, you should always have the suspicious behavior that maybe this information is not very true. Maybe this information needs to be re-verified. The second thing is different social media platforms. So if you're using just Facebook or just LinkedIn, you might have less knowledge about certain topic. But if you resort to multiple channels of communication to basically read about certain topic, then you would probably you have higher probability to arrive at proper or right information as compared to misinformation. Open discussions on social media are useless. Avoid them. It's a waste of time. You basically get influenced in the wrong way. You might have misinformation. You might be affected by the misinformation. So any topic that you would like to discuss it with experts who have the knowledge about it. So if it is COVID, ask your family doctor or read the governmental websites. A very interesting thing that happened during COVID was the social media platforms made a policy that if you are posting about something related to, say, coronavirus, COVID, or any of the keywords that they listed to be associated with the pandemic, then what basically happened was that you immediately, even if it was a comment, you immediately get a link to the local government's website about COVID as soon as you post the comment or the post. So this was something which happened, and it has basically happened. It has basically happened for good, because now with the Russian war going on, even if you talk about war in certain region, then there is a website, or it is diverted to some website of the local government which gives you the right information as compared to misinformation. Offline discussions are more constructive. So if you're discussing with somebody who you know about what they are, what the experts they are of, so then it would probably lead you to not having misinformation. And the last thing is about CPK is linked to the way people act. And even if something is happening in the other part of the world, we are in such a globally connected world right now. It's like a global village in true sense. So you should basically have information about what's going on around the world. Now this is our paper. If you just write predictors and outcomes of individual knowledge on in the early stages of the pandemic, probably you will get it. It's an open source paper, and you can read it without any access. You just can Google it and arrive to it. If you cannot, then you can feel free to write to me and I will send the paper to you. The future research avenues, if anybody is interested, you can do research about bots, how bots are spreading misinformation, or even now ChatGPT, can ChatGPT spread misinformation, for example. Fact-checking news, fact-checking right now on social media is like, I own a business and I hire you and I pay you to check whether I'm doing right or wrong, right? I'm paying you to check me whether I'm right or wrong. So that is kind of thing that is going on fact-checking right now. Replication of these kind of studies are also something that would be awesome. Okay, and if you have any questions right now, I will be happy to answer. And if you're interested to collaborate or something, this is the QR code to my LinkedIn account. You can just scan it, connect with me, and I will be happy to answer any questions later on as well. Thank you so much, and I hope you got some good information.
Thank you, Dr. Chawla. Now I would like to request Dr. Kumud. Any questions, sir? One question.
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir, for imparting this your good research. I think a further research can be done, like after categorizing the red and green sector. This also can be researched out or find out what is the impact of these categories on pandemic, so that in future we have a better understanding to avoid for. And one thing with those categories are cognizable, like if we are arising misunderstanding, like chatting with friends, that is not cognizable and we cannot catch out. But those who are floating it on social media, they can be catched, and some legal and actions can be taken. Likewise, something which this maybe happen in collaboration with government, and we can suggest it likewise.
Okay, thank you for this remark. It's good that you brought it up. Actually, what you said is a very important form or an important direction of research in terms of crisis communications. So, if we consider the studies in the crisis, there are also certain ways in which we want people to act so that we can limit the effect of the crisis itself. So that is something really good that you said. But the variables that we took, like on the right hand side, all the variables that we took were the variables which were desirable. Like if we are talking, I am practicing social distancing behavior. So that is something that was established at that point of time that it would help the pandemic. In what sense it would help the pandemic? This is, of course, next step of research which can be done. So there could be like another step. But it was established that social distancing behavior is very important in terms of curbing any pandemic or any kind of infection that happen with viral. Because if you are 2.5 meters apart or 3 meters apart, you are less likelihood of contracting that virus when somebody has it. So we took these variables from the literature which are already established to be good in the circumstances that we're in. So with this particular study, probably it will not work, but your idea or what you commented is very important in terms of any crisis, that if you are just looking at the behaviors, but how those behaviors basically help in curbing that crisis is a very important direction of research. There is a very simple paper in Nature Human Behavior, where what they have done is they've kept the virus on one end and they've kept the human on the other end. And what they've done is they've just traced paths. It's just like they've created like a maze where, okay, if the first path would be you touch say you touch a pen, and that pen was touched by somebody who was infected, so you can get COVID-19. So these kind of paths were created in that paper. So what you say is a very important direction where future work can be done. Any other question?
Any other question?
Oh, there.
Yes. I'm getting a chance for making a hat trick.
Yeah, maybe. Guys, one more please.
Thank you, sir, for guided some special information regarding the pandemic about COVID-19. And I want to know that we have the two waves right now. First one in 2020 and second one in 2021. There is a difference between both of them, because the casualty is increasing in 2021. So, is there any specific reason regarding?
Oh, okay.
Or should be increase in next 2 or 3 years? Third wave will come out? Can you take that?
Okay.
क्या हम का prediction कर सकते हैं सर कि next wave किस तरह affect करेगी, हमें किस तरह डिस्टेंसिंग करनी चाहिए?
Okay.
So, what was the differentiation for next?
Right. So, I'm not an expert in health sciences, so I probably cannot predict how the effect or the medicinal side of it. But one of the things that we observed was that when the first wave was not very deadly, what we thought was, okay, it's kind of a normal cold flu. That was the kind of sentiment that was existing, at least in India, when the first wave was going on, and then the first wave kind of dipped. So most of the people that I interacted with during the first wave, they were like, it's more like sardi, khansi, jukham, it goes away. And then the second wave happened. So maybe when the first wave was happening, we were not very serious about the measures that were required to be taken to basically maybe not have the second wave, or maybe if the second wave would happen, to safeguard ourselves. And when the second wave happened, then we were like, okay, this is something to worry about. That's why the third wave was not that. So this is like an assumption based on the interactions that I've done, but I did not do any research on it, so I cannot say highly significant, statistical significant answer to that. He wants to say something else. Or maybe we can discuss after, because we're already running out.
We are running late off schedule. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rahul sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Chawla. Now I would like to request Dr. Kumar Saxena to kindly felicitate Dr. Chawla. Dr. Kumar Saxena.
भाई आगे चला जाओ. So. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Dr. Yash, Dr. Rafal, Dr. Kasha, Dr. Anna, and Professor Noor. Now we will proceed for the lunch. So that session this first session is over, then we will meet after lunch. Thank you so very much, all of you, for gracing the occasion. Thank you.
My request is we proceed for lunch.